Hello everyone and welcome to PlayStation Access. My name is Rosie and I am joined by the lovely Rob.
Hello.
Hello Rob, and this is very exciting because you are currently in LA at Summer Game Fest and you've just played Star Wars Outlaws.
I have, Rosie. I have indeed. I had my eye on this one.
I'm very jealous.
Well, you should be. You should be jealous. I've had my eye on this for a while, as I'm sure many people have. It just looked like everything I wanted from a Star Wars game, and now having played it, I was speaking to Julian Garrity, the creative director of the game as well, and he described it as like his dream come true as a Star Wars fan, and I can totally see why a Star Wars fan would think that, because it's like wish fulfillment, like ultimate wish fulfillment. I think I played 3 separate 20-minute chunks of the game, each like a different story mission, so still not got like a sense of what the wider game is going to be like, having played it for hours and hours, but I think I got enough of an idea. Like the first mission I played was like this. It was a mission called False Flag, and essentially you had to sneak on board an enemy starship, hack into a computer, steal a bit of information and escape, which sounds simple, but actually seeing it play out, I was sort of blown away by how seamlessly the game shifts between genres. So it starts out, you're on a ship, sneaking through, you can sneak up behind enemies, you can do stealth attacks on them. You've got like a blaster, Kay, your main character has a blaster, and you can change like the type of ammo that it fires out. There's some ammo that's good on human enemies, there's some ammo that's good on synthetic enemies. There's like a stun mode on it, which has a cooldown, which is really good for just taking out enemies in one shot and stunning them and being able to creep through. So for the first part of this mission, I did my very best expert stealth gameplay and snuck through this ship.
Nicely done.
Hacking through a few doors as well. There's some really satisfying hacking mini games in it. One of them is like Mastermind / Wordle, where you've basically got 5 guesses to guess a combination, and
I love Mastermind.
Each time you make a guess, the game tells you, okay, you've got 2 of them in the correct space, one of them is also correct but it's in the wrong space. It's that kind of deal, and you basically have to get the combination right in 5 tries, which is really cool. Another version of it is like, it's like a rhythm action thing to unlocking doors, where the lock will play like a sequence of sounds in a rhythm, and you just have to match the rhythm. So almost like Headbangers, Rosie, but in Star Wars.
I love that you think Headbangers, I think Parappa the Rapper. Yeah, I was just like, Parappa the Rapper's going to come to the Star Wars universe.
It's rhythm action anyway, and it was just very cool doing that. So I was sort of like, ooh. So it's just a fun cover shooter. So anyway, I still stole the information from the computer, and as always is the case in these kind of situations, the enemy is like, oh my god, there she is, and it's just a big old fight in this sort of hangar. So your objective is to basically get onto your ship and get off the enemy ship, but to do that you have to fight through a few waves of enemies. So I got to try out the sort of like the cover shooting third-person shooter element of the game. And it just felt, it's a cliche, I guess, to say it, but it just felt very Star Wars. Like there's a Kay sort of sprints and goes into a slide when you go into cover. I know lots of games do that, but there was something about the way that Kay transitions between a sprint and a slide into cover that was just really Star Wars. I don't know if I'm describing that particularly well.
I really want to know what this really Star Wars looking thing is.
It's just cool. It's just like a bit of a clumsiness to it. She's not a Jedi. She's just a regular human being. She doesn't have any special powers. The Force and lightsabers are not a part of Star Wars Outlaws. This is very much the sort of the grimy, I guess it's the kind of world that a Han Solo would inhabit. It's by the skin of your teeth, just scraping through encounters, and that's absolutely what it felt like. A bunch of stormtroopers converging on my location, trying to flank me. I'm shifting between firing modes of my blaster. You're picking up guns that they drop and just firing bursts of ammo at them, and the sounds of the guns as well, just it's that classic Star Wars laser sound. I'm not going to do an impression of it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing a terrible job, but I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, that kind of sound. It's great. It sounds fantastic. So I sprinted onto the ship, and this is the first point where the game sort of really blew me away, because it transitions so smoothly from being in this third-person gunfight to all of a sudden I'm in the ship, I'm flying out the back of this starship, and I'm in space above a planet, and there's like a debris field everywhere, and some TIE fighters are then sent to try and take you down. So all of a sudden you're just piloting this ship, and I only had like a 20-minute time limit on this section of the game, so I didn't have like a long time to learn the controls, but the controls were so sort of intuitive that I was just able to pilot the ship. If you hold down L2, your ship sort of tracks and locks onto an enemy starfighter if you can get them in your field of view, and in that kind of scenario you just follow them, and it does a really cool thing with the camera. It just swoops after the TIE fighter, and you can just hold down the fire button and your ship will just fire out.
Oh, nice.
It felt so good. So Star Wars fans, they love a space dogfight, and this it felt like the classic Star Wars space dogfight. But then the thing that really blew my mind was after I'd taken out the TIE fighters, it was time to land on the planet. So I navigated through this debris field, and just completely seamlessly in real time, you fly towards this planet, you punch through the atmosphere, and you're just landing on the planet with no sort of like load times. It goes from, third-person cover shooting in this hangar to piloting a ship to landing on a planet, and then you're just out of the ship and exploring this planet. It's crazy. Like, it's just
that
like...
sounds so good. So seamless it sounds.
Yeah, and I just, I knew that was sort of like the goal for this game, was to make you feel like you could freely explore. But, I thought, it sounded just too good to be true. But having actually played it in practice, it's just so cool. And I'm out the spaceship, and all of a sudden I'm in this sort of like grimy settlement area. There's a cantina, the classic space bar type thing.
Yeah.
And I was a bit sad because I had to sort of rush through and get to the end of this demo section of the game that I was playing. But I wanted to just stop and look around everywhere because there was such like a richness of detail to this place, which I thought was particularly impressive considering that this is like, a big open world game, essentially. Open world exploration. And quite often with that, you'd expect there to be some sort of sacrifice when it comes to the granular detail in places like this. But it was just so vibrant and full of life. It felt so Star Warsy. I just sort of wanted to wait and just poke around and have a little explore everything. It was so good. And I honestly, it blew me away how seamlessly the game transitioned from third-person shooting to space fighting to just open world exploration. No load times in between any of it, just a real seamless experience. And so I asked Julian Garrity after I played it, is that a scenario that's just sort of locked to this story mission? And he's like, no, you can just... At any point in the game, you can just get in your ship and fly off into space and explore.
Oh,
and then
fantastic!
Just come back down and land. It was so great, Rosie. It was very, very cool.
Oh my God. With you saying about as well, like walking around the space bar, I'm just here thinking, I wonder how many Easter eggs there's going to be for fans to notice. If you say it's as detailed as it is, I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, I want to go in there and see. I mean, already from trailers I've seen, there's, multiple characters from the Star Wars universe I've seen popping up. So already I'm thinking, I wonder how many Easter eggs you can find for... and then you can say, I found that one, I found it first.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like to say for sure, but I imagine it is lots. Like, it's a game that's been made by Star Wars fans, and you can clearly sort of feel that in it. In terms of the setting, it's set after The Empire Strikes Back and before Return of the Jedi. So it's in that, you know what kind of period of Star Wars you're in, and it just, I just wanted more. And like the other two, I've only talked about one mission. We've got to sort of wrap this up soon. But there were two other missions. One where I was like exploring the wreck of this enormous ship, and there was quite a lot of what I would describe as Uncharted style traversal in this section, so sort of clambering up the walls of this ship and using a grappling hook to swing over chasms and gentle bits of puzzle solving and that kind of thing. And then another mission where I was just having, again, sneak into an enemy base and steal a relic, fight them all and get out. And that was great. After that mission, I sort of jumped on my speeder. That's the little speeder bike that Kay has. I didn't get to spend too long on the speeder bike, unfortunately. It was sort of like on there, escape out of the mission, and that was like my play time over. But I was just left thinking, man, like, I cannot wait to fully have the freedom to explore this world in my ship, on my speeder bike. Just take time walking through these sort of really densely detailed environments, because it did, it's like Star Wars means different things to different people, and some people obviously are going to love the whole sort of Jedi lightsabers, that kind of wish fulfillment, that kind of fantasy of being a Jedi, whereas this Star Wars Outlaws gives you, I think, another type of Star Wars fantasy, which is just to live as a bit of a rogue in the more sort of seedy parts of the Star Wars universe, that sort of more sort of dirty, grimy part of it. And for me, it just captured that sense of Star Wars, and in particular that 80s Star Wars retro future vision of Star Wars. It sort of captured that so well. I'm just very, very excited, Rosie. I think it's going to be fantastic. I really do.
Well, you have hyped me so much more for this game. I was already excited with all the trailers, and now just hearing you talk about it and how seamless it all sounds and how detailed and fun it is. You've sold me on the hacking games as well.
Oh yeah, the hacking games are great. You'll love those.
Oh, I'm so gonna love them. I can already tell. So I am now doubly excited for this game, and you should be as well, because Star Wars Outlaws it's not that long of a wait now. It's coming out on PS5 on the 30th of August, so please stay tuned for that. I'm sure we're going to have more Star Wars Outlaws content. Rob, thank you so much for talking to us about Star Wars Outlaws.
I do what I must, Rosie. It's a hard job, but someone's got to play these games.
Well, thank you for carrying this heavy burden.
You're very welcome.
And like I said, please stay tuned to the channel, because we'll have loads more Star Wars Outlaws content coming out for you. Subscribe also to stay up to date with all sorts of PlayStation goodness on the channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye!
PlayStation